It's a red letter day for our YouTube channel. Why you know? Because we are going to start the day with no other than Gregory Stephen Chappell. Greg Chappell, our respected, and what should I say? Every time I talk about him, and I always feel that my chest becomes bigger. Everything. Victor Richardson is your maternal grandfather. Father played top grade cricket. Elder brother Ian is an iconic figure. Trevor Chappell is also a test cricketer. Do you think, Greg, this atmosphere at home helped you to become a legend?
Absolutely. It was the perfect cricket environment. When I look back on it, I didn't realise it at the time, but when I look back on it, we had the perfect upbringing. Our grandfather didn't have much to do with our cricket. I think he knew that our father had things under control. And our father played, as you said, first grade cricket in Adelaide for many years and in Melbourne during the war. Was in the state squad for a number of years, was a very good observer of the game. Sadly, he'd passed away before I started coaching. I would love to have sat down with him and talked to him about what he understood, because he must have understood a lot, because he got so much right. He couldn't have got it right by accident. So he knew what he was doing. He encouraged us to play cricket from a very early age. I mean, as far as I'm aware, he was throwing balls to us before we could even walk. So he had in mind that we were going to play cricket. We played baseball as well growing up. We played Australian rules football. He made sure that certainly I did gymnastics as a young boy because of the movement and just body awareness and so on. So he was very, very smart. He had a master plan that Trevor was going to open the batting, Ian was going to bat number 3, and I was going to bat number 4. Well, that happened. So he must have done something right.
Yeah.
But having an older brother, as a guide, as someone who put out the flagstones that I followed to play cricket was also important. As was the cricket we played in the backyard. I mean, they were real test matches in our mind.
Yeah.
They were real test matches. We were making decisions in real time. One of the things that I see with cricket coaching is that it's all about the physical part of the game, but the mental part of the game is the most important. And we were involved in the mental side of the game from a very early age. And the other thing that I know is that the best players, many of whom I've met, from Sir Donald Bradman onwards, they've all got a great imagination. They can see how they make runs.
Okay.
No matter what the situation, no matter what the conditions, they can see how they make the runs, and then they put that into action. And that imagination, my imagination, was developed in the backyard at home. Not only playing against my brothers at different times, because we're all quite separate of age, but in between times, the hours that I spent on my own, throwing the ball against the wall and playing test matches again in my mind, that imagination became very important as a player.
Mother Jean, she was a great cricket lover, isn't it?
Yes, she was. We had a match referee long before cricket had match referees, because I worked out, being 5 years younger than Ian, if things weren't going well, if I made enough noise, Mum would come outside and find out what was happening. And she'd say to Ian, "What's the problem?" And said that, "Well, the little so-and-so won't go out." And she'd say to me, "Why won't you go out?" And I said, "I didn't hit it." And she'd say, "Ian, he's younger and he's smaller, give him another hit."
Okay, so she was a match referee.
She was the match referee.
A lot of people have got different strokes, like Ranji has got glance, and and on drive has been leveled as Greg Chappell's perfection. How could you attain that?
Well, I think I was very small as a youngster. I found it hard to generate pace on the offside, so I spent a lot of time scoring runs on the leg side. But in our backyard, we had fruit trees down the left-hand side, the leg side of our practice wicket, and we weren't allowed to damage the trees.
Okay.
And there was a gap between the stumps at the bowler's end and the start of the fruit trees.
Okay.
So that was one area I could score.
Okay.
The other area was just backward of square leg between the fruit trees and the almond trees.
Okay.
So I developed a shot off my hips that went into that gap.
Okay.
So they were the two shots. But the key to the on drive, I mean, I don't know what why people find it so difficult. The art to playing the on drive is to make sure you keep the ball on the offside of your front leg. If you do that, you've always got access to the ball. But if you get the leg to the line of the ball, then the bat can't get to the ball. You've got to go around the leg.
Okay.
The important thing is to keep that ball inside the front pad. Then you've got perfect access to it.
And your head will be?
And the head will go to the line.
Okay.
But if you take the leg to the line, the head goes to the offside, you're off balance.
Okay.
But if you can take the head to the line, then you're always on balance and able to play the shot.
People were talking about Vivian Ditcher, Javed Miadat, Martin Crowe, Sunil Gavaskar and yourself. Tell us some good qualities about them.
They were all very good players and they all made a lot of runs, I think that, and they made runs everywhere. They made runs against spin bowling, fast bowling, low wickets, bouncy wickets. And I think that's the key to being a good player, is to be able to make runs against all types of bowlers in all conditions. And you know, the names that you mentioned there are all great players in that era. And they made runs all around the world and against all types of bowling. You know, to be listed amongst that number is a great honour for me. Because I think they're all fabulous players, and you know, I didn't want to see them make too many runs against us, but I always enjoyed watching them bat, because you know, they were always, I could learn something from the way they played. I didn't have the power of Richards, but not only was he powerful, but he was also elegant. You know, I mean, he took you apart, you know, in a very attractive way, and as did Javed and as did Sonny. I mean, all good players, and it's an honour to be mentioned in the same company.
But what are you talking, Greg? You are the best Australian batsman after Donald Bradman. That is also a big certificate, isn't it?
Well, there are a number of. I mean, I grew up watching Neil Harvey. I thought Neil Harvey was a fabulous player. He might have been left-handed, but I still learned, you know, a lot from watching him. And our father was the other thing about our father, was that when a team would come to town, you know, he would say, these are the best players in that team, these are the ones you should watch. And Neil Harvey was always top of the list when New South Wales came here, and I would go down to Adelaide Oval and I would just watch, you know, because there was no videotape, there was no TV for much of that time. So you'd just get down on the fence and you would watch everything they did in the field. You know, when they came off the field, follow them off the field, down to the nets. I watched everything that the best players did, and Neil Harvey, I think, is still one of the best left-handers that's played anywhere. Alan Border, obviously another very good left-hander. Ricky Ponting, what a wonderful player. You know, I admired Ponting and you know, the way he played. You know, we've had a lot of very good players. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the second best batsman from Bradman, because I've seen a lot of good players.
You're so polite.
No, it's not a matter of being polite. It's just a matter of, you know, I think there are a lot of good players. Bradman set a mark that nobody could beat. Nobody could even attain. So the rest of us have played for number two from, you know, for all of our lives basically. But I don't think any of us have played for number two. We've just tried to be the best players that we could be, and thankfully Australia have had a lot of good batsmen. You know, Doug Walters in my time, Ian Chappell was a very good player, particularly, well, he played spin and pace very well. You know, what he did in India was tremendous, as did Doug. You know, they were wonderful players at spin bowling, much better players against spin than I was. And yeah, you go out there and do the best that you can. The fact that you and other people might mention, you know, kind enough to mention that I'm the second best of Bradman, well, thank you very much. But yeah, I'd probably argue with you, because I think I've seen players that have been better players.